Robbie Earle, Tim Howard, Rebecca Lowe with you. Wow, what a game of football, as I said, Tim. That is Manchester United, getting results and entertaining.
When I was at Manchester United, and I didn't quite understand the mystique, Alex Ferguson used to say, pass forward, run forward, play forward. And that's what Manchester United expects. And with respect to all the coaches out there, football's a funny old game. But sometimes it's about setting a team up and allowing them to express themselves. It's not as basic as that, but that's what this team needed. And I think Michael Carrick knew that. I think he came in and he thought, there's been a lot of information thrown at you guys. There's been a lot of people left out in the cold. Let's all come back together. Let's play for the badge. Let's set ourselves up and then go play free. And they are playing free.
Robbie, it feels like they've gone, United, from complicated and round pegs and square holes to simple, everyone playing where they should be playing, and look what's happened.
Being set up for success in a shape and a system. We're not talking about X's and O's anymore. We're talking about great goals and performances. And I've got to admit, I didn't see that coming. So well done to Michael Carrick and his team. I mean, there were two goals, goal of the season contenders, the Dorgu strike and then the Cunha goal. And to go away to Arsenal with the defensive record they got, the unbeaten all season, the best team in the league, and do that's very special and deserve a lot of credit.
But we sort of did see it coming. We both said Manchester United were going to set themselves up and they were going to hit Arsenal on the counter. We expected Arsenal to absorb that and play better. But we did expect that, and I think they did it superbly. Now, once they got the go-ahead goal, it meant Arsenal had to come out and the game got stretched. But Dorgu's a perfect example of what you said, square pegs, round holes. Like, there was something inside me. You don't want, you want some of these signings to work out. And you're looking at Dorgu and you're going, I think there's a good player in there. It's been hard, that jersey's heavy, but like, there's a good player in there. And all of a sudden we're like, does he play left? Does he play right? Does he score a goal? He can do anything. He's been actually quite a good signing.
What was Arsenal's biggest problem today?
When their football didn't find a way through, they didn't know what to do. This is a team that played beautiful football and win games. When we got to what I would call alarm bell time, 20 minutes to go, get some balls in the box, get some shots, make it a kind of game that's difficult for Manchester United to play in. They don't seem to ever be able to go to that gear, and that's a worry, because if you're going to be champions, these days you've got to win when your good football isn't going to get you all the points.
Tim?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, there were some moments where, even like on a set piece, and I know that people say it's always set pieces and own goals, they probably had about 10 corner kicks in the first 30 minutes, and I was like, one of these needs to count. They needed to make it count, and unfortunately they didn't. Look, ultimately, like I said, when you go behind against a good team, you need to dump some balls in the box. You need to make it rough and tumble, and that's not necessarily what they do.
As you can see here, the match stats, and plenty to talk about in this one. Let's have a look at the top half of the Premier League standings. Arsenal still in the lead, but just by 4 points ahead of Manchester City and Aston Villa, who are level on 46 points. As for Manchester United, well, they creep right into the top 4 on 38. Let's welcome in Frank Leboeuf, who made sure he was on time for this one. But Craig, let me start with you, because I don't think anybody really expected this result from United.
Well, I certainly expected a little bit more hope for United off the back of the City game and the change of stewardship in terms of Ruben Amorim and all the negative speak around the club and the players and the team. It has sort of gone, and it's been, new managers, some new ideas, fresher voice. So that gave them a little bit of hope, but I think most people, myself included, still thought that Arsenal would be too strong, and that's how it should have been, because Arsenal dominated the game. But we were walking to the studio, Steve and I said, I don't know about you, but I'm just a bit bored watching this Arsenal side. Saka in set pieces.
Yeah,
I know that's not their only facets, but it's a big one. Saka in set pieces. And when you can nullify Saka, and if you do nullify the set pieces, which teams are just, it's driving me bonkers. Stevie mentioned it. 16 players, 14, 15 players in the 6-yard box. What's Lamin supposed to do? He's got nowhere to go. But we see this every game. I mean, it's bonkers. All these coaches, you got the manager, you got the first team coach, you got the assistant, you got the set piece coach, you got the throw-in coach, you got a coach for this, and yet nobody's coming up with anything that can stop Arsenal scoring from these set pieces. But we've always said it, leave 3 up, make them think, thin out that 6-yard box where a goalkeeper has more room to come and operate. So at that point we thought Arsenal were going to go on and win it, but you've got to give United a lot of credit, and Matheus Cunha has made a big difference coming off the bench in the last 2 games. I mean, it's a hell of a player to be able to bring on.
give United a lot of credit. That's not something Stevie Nicol likes to do. Stevie, I know you're rooting for Arsenal in this one very vigorously in front of the TV, but you're going to give United some credit?
I tell you what was that?
He's on fire.
Well, I beg your pardon.
Stevie, you hate United.
My goodness, thanks for...
He was very vocal while we were watching the game.
Hey, next time we're watching the game with
I won't be.
this one.
Yeah.
Like that.
Listen, the question I had coming into this game was, can United perform twice in a row?
Yeah.
Something they haven't done for I don't know how many years. But I tell you what, for 30 minutes, I thought the answer to that was absolutely not. But as soon as Mbeumo gets that goal, I'm sorry, you couldn't tell who was top of the league and who wasn't. You just couldn't. And again, I was thinking about, will this Man United side be able to take a punch in the nose from Arsenal? And they did. They went behind. And what happened? Again, they stepped forward. And actually, Arsenal, for all the favourites they were, and for all they dominated the first 30-odd minutes, they were the ones that didn't know what to do. They were the ones that didn't recover. And Manchester United, apart from the little spell where the equaliser came for Arsenal, Manchester United were comfortable. The only way they were going to score was a set piece, and that's exactly what happened. Yeah. But the way they got punched in the nose, United. Okay, are they going to hold on? Well, they didn't hold on. They went forward, and Cunha wins the game for them. So, listen, at the end of the day, Man United deserve this win, and who would have thunk it?
Oh man, can I record you saying that just so I can play it on repeat for me?
It's not happening again.
It's not happening again.
I don't want to hear the usual from you Arsenal, because what Arsenal fans are getting particularly bad about PGMOL. I'm glad that came out right.
Yeah.
About the referees. Conspiracy, never got this decision, should have had a penalty at Nottingham Forest the other week with the ball and eye in his arm, all that. This should have had this. The ball hit Dorgu in the arm. Well, it might have grazed his shirt. I don't want to hear these complaints from Arsenal fans about the referees this, the referees that. This is on them.
Yep.
The side-to-side stuff, the lack of getting Gyökeres into good positions, he gets dropped, Jesus comes in, Eze in and out the side, not performing, looks short of confidence, needing a different facet of Saka's getting, if Saka's getting doubled up on, we need to go. So I don't, and I feel that Arsenal fans, a lot of them, will be like, some of them, if they're honest, will be, yeah, we're not doing enough. But quite a big bulk of them these days will be like, well, it's the referees. No, that's not why they lost today. It's not why they drew at Forest. It's not why they drew against Liverpool at home. That is on them. And at the moment, they've got a big enough gap to get away with it. But maybe if this continues, depending what happens with City and Villa, maybe if this continues, they won't have that gap. So it's going to be a big 3 or 4 weeks for them.
Frank, what did you think of the game and what the guys are saying about it?
Agree with the guys, and it's been said a lot about Arsenal and the Gunners, but lately, I'm sorry, have been far from being impressive. And if they won games, the way they were playing didn't please me. But I want to talk about Manchester United, what I saw, and I want to congratulate Michael Carrick, because against City and today against the Gunners, I mean, they showed that Manchester United could be back. Of course, you don't want to make a very fast conclusion about what's going to happen to Manchester United, but the way they play, the spirit they put in the game, the intensity they put in the game reminds me the good time of the Manchester United from the 90s. Okay, we are far away from there, but they showed what they were capable of doing, and those 2 games won will bring a lot of confidence to the fans, of course, but to the dressing room especially. And Michael Carrick, who really wasn't a definite coach, can change the mind of the board. And if he carries on like that, he might be somebody who can create a brighter future to Manchester United.
It's incredible the change in mentality of this United side, to be honest.
And you put that down to Carrick.
Well, it can't be anything else. What else can it be? Well, it's the same group of players.
What's the chances of them winning those 2 games if they had continued with Ruben Amorim and his negative sort of...
None. They wouldn't.
I mean...
Nobody would have put a penny on that. No. So, 100% down to Carrick and his staff for completely changing the mentality. Yes, it helps that they've got 1 game a week, but my goodness, you talk about organisation, you talk about everybody looks as though they know what the role is. I mean, all simple basic things that Amorim couldn't get them to do, that Carrick is getting them to do right now.
Well, Kobe Mino wouldn't have played.
No.
He's played 2 games.
Yeah.
Bruno Fernandes would then have played
Deeper.
Yep. He's played further up. They scored 3 today. They scored 2 against City, could have been 5. He was very influential. I know he was influential from a deeper position, but not as influential as he can be from that area where he's 20 yards further forward, where all of a sudden he can really affect the game. So those changes wouldn't have happened. And that was a big bugbear, that you've got one of the best creative players in the game and you play him alongside Casemiro. So, you know, we don't know what's going to happen with Michael Carrick in this team. It could all sort of falter and go a bit flat. But in terms of how you wanted to start, if you'd have said to him, take the job, you're playing City and Arsenal, he'd have been like, can't I just take it after those 2 games? So that's how badly it could have gone. We were sitting here, and I was sitting here saying, what if they give him the job and they lose 5 games in the spin? How's that going to look, and what are they going to... And honestly, you looked at the fixtures and you looked at the way the team were playing, and you looked at all the negativity around it. You looked at the fixtures and said, they could lose those 5. So to be able to turn it round with the first 2 to take you into the next fixtures was huge.
Mikel Arteta's work at Arsenal is being viewed in an even brighter light after the recent coaching shakeups elsewhere. With Chelsea parting ways with Enzo Maresca and Manchester United moving on from Ruben Amorim, the contrast is hard to miss. Arsenal has kept moving forward under Arteta, giving him time through difficult stretches, and now seeing the payoff as the club pushes again in the Premier League title race. It also raises a bigger question about strategy. While Chelsea and United are changing direction again, Arteta has been in place for more than 6 years, outlasting a long list of managers across those 2 clubs in that span. That stability has become part of the story, and it was a major talking point on the Seeing Red podcast with Tom Canton and John Cross. Beyond reacting to Amorim's dismissal and breaking down wins over Aston Villa and Bournemouth, plus Manchester City's loss to Chelsea, the conversation kept returning to one core idea: structure. Not just who is the coach, but how much power that coach has, and whether the club is built to support a long-term project. Cross pointed to Arsenal as a rare example of patience turning into real strength. He argued that Arsenal's willingness to back Arteta through the messy early phases helped create the stable position they're in now, and that this kind of time and support investment is what can turn a club into something truly solid. Canton's response was sharp and honest. Arteta's arc, he said, has almost become a problem for other clubs, because it tempts them to keep coaches they probably shouldn't. But at the same time, it's still the best example of what can happen when you hire the right person and actually give them time. And that time wasn't smooth. The discussion highlighted how Arsenal could easily have pulled the plug early. 2 8th-place finishes, then 5th, missing out on the Champions League, and a Europa League semi-final exit to Unai Emery's Villarreal. Any of those moments could have pushed a club into panic mode. Instead, the argument is that Arsenal recognized the bigger reality. Arteta didn't have the resources to compete at the required level right away. The squad needed a rebuild. The roster needed to be refreshed. That's where the comparison to Chelsea and United becomes even more pointed. The podcast suggested that recruitment and decision-making structure are often what determine whether a coach survives. If signings don't land, results suffer. And if a coach doesn't have enough influence, or the club isn't aligned behind a clear plan, it becomes much easier for things to collapse. In other words, giving time only works if the coach is empowered to shape the team in a way that matches the vision. Cross also emphasized that Arteta's situation stood out because he pushed to be a true manager, not just a head coach. The idea is simple. Top coaches want a real say in the build, and they want the club to match what they were promised when they took the job. The discussion even pointed to how Arteta survived a low moment, like the home loss to Burnley, because the club stayed behind him. And in that period, with fan pressure affected by the COVID-era environment, Arsenal were able to hold their nerve instead of reacting emotionally. Meanwhile, the big unknowns now shift back to Chelsea and Manchester United. Who replaces Amorim? And how will the next chapter look at Chelsea? The answers may come sooner than people expect. But for Arsenal, the reality stays the same. They're stable, they're moving forward, and they're still in the title chase, while others are starting over again. And that contrast can shape how people judge every manager in the league. Because when 2 massive clubs hit the reset button again, it forces the same question Cross raised on the show. Is the quick switch actually fixing the problem, or just delaying the real work? The bigger takeaway from the discussion is that time isn't a magic solution by itself. It only becomes valuable when the club's structure supports the plan, and when the coach has the influence to push the squad in the direction he believes it needs to go. That's why the distinction between head coach and manager kept coming up. The podcast point is that if a coach is expected to own the results, he usually wants a meaningful say in the decisions that shape those results. And if he doesn't get that, patience alone won't save him. That's also where Arteta's early struggles get reframed. Those finishes and setbacks could have become a reason to panic. Instead, they became evidence of why alignment matters, because Arsenal chose to treat them as part of a build, not a final verdict. And once the squad was reshaped the way the club believed it needed to be, the results started to reflect that long-term approach. So the repercussions aren't just about Arsenal looking stable, it's about how stability changes your margin for error. When you don't reset every year, you're not constantly starting from zero. You're building on decisions, learning from setbacks, and keeping a clearer identity. For Chelsea and Manchester United, the immediate consequence is obvious. They're changing direction again, which means the next appointment carries even more weight. Because every new coach isn't just judged on results. He's judged on whether the club is finally giving him the structure and authority that the role demands. That's why the question at the end matters so much. Who will replace Amorim, and how will Liam Rosenior do at Chelsea? Because those answers will test the exact theme the show kept returning to. Time, support, structure, and control. And for Arsenal, it's a different kind of pressure. Stability doesn't guarantee trophies, but it does keep you in the fight longer. And right now, while others restart, Arsenal get to stay focused on what they're already doing, chasing the Premier League title.